Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Potential Unleashed. We're back with another One Piece chapter review. This is One Piece chapter 1070. It is titled, actually I don't really know what it's titled. It's titled The Most Powerful Beings, right? We're going to get into this review. Honestly, a pretty interesting chapter. We got a little bit more about devil fruits, and I think that it was a continuation from the last chapter. But I will say the cover page is about Mads, where for the first time when I saw it, I had no clue who some of these people were. Like, you could obviously tell who Vegapunk was because, well, his head is super humongous. But, like, in terms of everybody else, the one on the far left is Queen, the next to him is Caesar, and it's Vegapunk. And then I think it's Judge. I don't know who the woman is, so if somebody knows who it is, let me know in the comment section below. But with the cover page out the way, let's get into the review. So the chapter starts out with Sentamaru. He is on the ground because in the last chapter, Lucci ended up attacking him, where Luffy was like, yo, my bad, I thought like I distracted you or something. Or Sentamaru was like, no, you know, I tried to block it, but Lucci's attack was too strong and too quick. So Sentamaru, he's on the ground. The reason why Lucci attacked him is so that they could have control of the Seraphims. We know that Kuma's, like, they're different names, but I'm just going to go based off of the warlords. Hancock, Mihawk, Jinbei, and Kuma, they are all here, the four Seraphims that are awake. And so having them there, they're really strong. And so if they're on the side of CP0 with Lucci, Kaku, Susi, and Kizaru who's pulling up, then the Straw Hats are definitely going to have a fight on their hands. So I think that's important. And so Luffy's going in, attacking Lucci. They're continuing fighting, where I will say this in the beginning of the chapter, a lot of people are like, oh, what's Lucci and Luffy going to do and all of that. They had a little bit of a skirmish. It's not like really long. It only lasted about a chapter and a half, so this chapter and half of last chapter. So the Seraphims, they are taking action, where we see little mini Mihawk, we see mini Jinbei, and they're going in, where Frankie, he questioned, he's like, yo, you know, devil fruits, they can be, what do you call it? They can't be transferred, right? However, that's only when one of them bites the bullet. Look at Whitebeard, look at Absalom, and how they lost theirs. So Frankie, he's like, yo, my sworn brother, Senior Pink, right? He's a member of Don Quixote family, right? He's the only one to have the swim fruit. So what does that mean? Does that mean he bought the bullet? And, you know, Frankie's a really emotional guy, so he's crying, where Vegapunk, he's like, no, that's not what happened. Apparently, Vegapunk, he successfully was able to do recreate zone doses, as we've seen with Momonosuke's fruit, and how it's perfectly a copy of Kaido's fruit, where it's just pink. And then we also know that Vegapunk, he tried to do Logias, but he said those were like insanely difficult. And we know Logias are, aside from like mythical zones, that Logias are the most dangerous devil fruit. I mean, look at the past, right? Like Luffy and the Straw Hats, they couldn't defeat Logias without obtaining Haki. So, you know, they have very good offensive devil fruit power, strength, and stuff like that. And so Vegapunk, he was able to pretty much create a copy of the Paramecia fruits, and he explains it. It's a little bit difficult to understand, well, at least the first time I read it, but I had to reread it, and now I kind of understand it. Basically, if you can synthesize a blood additive, then using like the lineage factor of those who have the Paramecia devil fruit, that he can create a copy of it. And it's through this synthesized blood that Vegapunk made, known as green blood. And so it's like a little wristband that's on the arm, well, I guess not really a wrist, but a band around their arm, and it's green. So that's how these characters have access to different devil fruit powers. And we know that Jinbei is not a devil fruit user, but because he is a fishman, that he's obviously can swim really fast in the ocean. But, you know, him having the swim fruit, it makes sense. You know, he's able to move underground on land. Hancock, she still has, you know, her normal devil fruit power, the Mera no Mi, the meta, I don't even, I think it's the, not the Mera, that's the flame fruit. We're just gonna call it the love fruit, right? I don't know the Japanese version of it. And then Kuma, he has his pawpaw fruit as well. And so Mihawk's the only one that we haven't seen utilize the devil fruit. I wonder if Vegapunk did give him one, or if not. I mean, Mihawk is the strongest swordsman, able to clash with Shanks. And so it's on the level of Yonko and Admirals and stuff like that. So maybe he doesn't need one. But going through all this, Vegapunk says that these Seraphims, that they are the strongest weapons that the sea has ever made, where this clearly makes sense to why the warlord system, why it was abolished, right? And so Sanji, I find it funny, he's like, oh, when you made all this, and of course they're going to be a problem for us, but now we're helping you. Like, I find that funny. But Lucci, you know, there was a scene, you know, after Luffy attacked him that he went through the wall, and it reminds me, you know, Luffy in Gear 5 basically has Toon Force, and so this scene reminds me of if you guys ever seen Looney Tunes, Wally, Coyote, and Roadrunner, when sometimes Roadrunner will make Coyote go through the wall and, you know, he pops up out the wall. That's what this reminds me of, something from my childhood. But him and Luffy are still going back and forth, where Luffy definitely has to get out of there because the shuttle is leaving and they got to take Boney, they got to go save Vegapunk, so Luffy has to finish this fight quick. So they're still going back and forth, and Luffy, he ends up using a booming white rocket going through and hitting Rob Lucci, where it's similar to the Kaido when he punched him and like his skin stretched backward, or his body stretched backward, and so that was definitely a decisive blow, or a heavy blow on Lucci, because that is what created the opening for Luffy to leave, because as he is leaving Sentamaru, he ends up losing consciousness. And I find it funny, Hancock, she's like, yo, you know, go this way to escape, and Jinbei's like, yo, it's pleasant to see a, you know, a kind Hancock, and Hancock's like, I'm just following orders, because we know Boa Hancock, she truly is a kind person, but she puts up a front because she was a former slave and she doesn't want anybody to take advantage of her. But we know how caring she actually is, and I just find that funny. And I saw a picture, if I can find it, I'll put it on the screen, but if not, there was like a picture of the Seraphims and Luffy in Gear 5th, and the kid Hancock was all on Luffy, hugging him with hard eyes. So I wish you got to see that interaction. It would be dope if that's something that actually takes an effect, if Hancock actually can't fight Luffy, because, you know, Boa Hancock was in love with Luffy, and we saw like during the Marineford War how she was trying to protect him. But I also want to mention, I had a question. I was like, well, how the heck do these people have blood samples of the warlords, right? I guess Kuma makes sense. He was somebody that you know, that came to Vegapunk willingly, right? And then Hancock, I really don't know how they got Hancocks either, but what's his name, Jinbei, probably because he was a prisoner of Impel Down, but Mihawk and Hancock, I don't know how they got blood samples from them too, but, well, I guess Hancock to create the Devil Fruit, but I guess they need it from Senior Pink, so maybe not necessarily Jinbei. I don't know, it's a lot of... never mind, disregard what I said. So Luffy and the others, they escape. They are on their way to go try to save Vegapunk, where I find it funny that, you know, Kaku, he talks about the Seraphims, right, and having them on their side. And it's just amazing that the Seraphims, they're kids, right? We got Mini Jinbei, Mini Hawk, we got Python, we got Snake, Hancock, all these like mini guys, right? So like, imagine, like, they're already strong now if they were to go against their counterparts, probably the warlords are winning, but we saw what they did on the Kuja Island, right? And how, you know, they attacked Blackbeard, and, you know, Sanji and the Straw Hats, they went against them. They were pretty challenging, right? But I wonder how strong they actually would be, you know, mixed with the Lunarian factor, mixed with Devil Fruits and stuff, how strong they would be when they're adults. But it's basically going to be Kizaru, because he's pulling up, let's see, CP0 and the Seraphims versus the Straw Hats, right? I wondered how they were going to, I guess, you make this a little arc of going against the Straw Hats because they're Yonko crew, and this makes logical sense to me. I'm pretty happy with this. But Vegapunk, he makes mention, he's like, yo, you know, I'm really wanted, so, you know, I need you guys to help me, yada yada. And we conclude with Kizaru, he's pulling up on Egghead Highland, we knew that already. And Zoro and Brook, that they're outside the island, they're pulling up with battleships. So at least me personally, like, this may be the Zoro fanboy in me, but it looks like Zoro is going to be, because typically whenever Luffy gets signed, Zoro gets signed. So Luffy went against Rob Lucci. Personally, I think Zoro, unless like an outside force comes in, which I don't think they will, because the only other strongest one besides Luffy on here is Zoro. And I mean, Sanji could probably do it too, but Sanji's inside right now. So to me, it makes logical sense that Zoro is going to be the one to be fighting Kizaru. Or at least clashing him or having a little skirmish, something like that. Overall, a decent chapter. Really excited about this. I don't know when chapter 1071 releases. I know it's supposed to release before the end of the year, but we know that Weekly Shonen Jump, like, they go on break because of New Year's and stuff like that. And so I think once we get this chapter, it's supposed to be like sometime next week. That we won't have a chapter for like 2 weeks, because technically this scan was supposed to be for the New Year's, but it is what it is. But like I said, overall good chapter. Let me know how you guys feel about it in the comment section below. But thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also hit the notifications to never miss out a new video from it. Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and TikTok is on the screen in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to unleash your potential.